Hey everybody. Happy holidays, everybody. Uh Thanks for hanging in there, EB. We're gonna rock and roll. Let's get this thing started. We got the old man here. We got the we got Frosty the Snowman. Sorry for the wait, but had to watch the end of that game. So uh the historical the historical gambling fixed games. Well, thank you everybody for this. Finish up the year strong. I really appreciate it. Finishing up the year, they turned my channel back on, and I appreciate you people hanging out with me. Thank you, D, for saving my life. Thank you, honey. Uh, and hey, Joe Rufino, Deb. Yep, the show must go on. You probably won't understand what I'm going to talk about with the mob fixing games and all that kind of stuff. But I appreciate it. Go get a water, a coffee. I got my caffeine. I got my nicotine. So I was around the Colombo family, and they had one of the biggest gambling network from the Northeast, and its tentacles went everywhere. And they had runners. Now I used to deliver the bread and milk, but they had runners running all over the place in the north before I was involved, but it was a very, very dangerous job when you're running packages and you got a bullseye on your back, and it's very, very, very dangerous situation to be in. And yeah. Hey, Joel Goat. So the Colombo family was probably the biggest historical family that was taking bets. Now you have them taking bets from regular customers, and there was high rollers, big customers. You got those regular bets, but the captains and the bosses and the hierarchy of the families, they would love to be in on fixed games. Fixed games. Why not? Even Mike Francis, they tried fixing some things, but they were fixing boxing matches like that, one on one. But they would have, so back then they had people in Vegas that when there was like a fixed game or something, they could call them and tell them, get down on whatever, get down on this game, that game, this game. But as time moved along, Vegas started being aware of irregularities in bets. All the casinos, it would be one network. They had communication, and they'd say, "Well, you got 20,000 on Syracuse, or lower market games like Niagara, Canisius, Boston College, or stuff like that." And so that raised their eyebrows. That raised their eyebrows a little bit on seeing action, because a lot of people just bet the higher recognizable teams, and they made a ton of money. They were fixing all kinds of games in lower market areas. In lower market areas, they were fixing everything. Tommy Bahama and the old man Sam, he made tons. That's his claim to fame. I mean, a lot of times the bookies, the big bookies, the families, they would lay money off. They would lay money off to try to minimize their risk. and losses, but what they salivated on was just fixed game. And there was a couple guys that come around the club, and they had a player on a local team, um, and the old man owed a lot of money. They owed a lot of money. His kid was a starter on the basketball team, and they all love to gamble. They love to gamble. This is going way back before the NCAA and all that, before they really started paying attention on that kind of stuff. And that guy had a lot of he was in debt. He was in debt, and he was like, well, your kid plays, so now a starting kid, and he was a gambler too. Well, you're raised up in a gambling family, and you can't wait to try to get in. So that was the perfect scenario. His dad was a gambler, degenerate gambler, and he's starting, and in Vegas they had those games you could bet. You know, Niagara, Canisius, Hornell, different markets. You know, a New York City, different markets, and they had, but sometimes they would get a little educated, and they would put no line on the game. Just you can't bet. You can't bet. Just no line. Sorry, folks. Nice try. So they got a hold of that kid, and they had already done some things before with them. But say Niagara is playing some whatever, like St. Bonaventure, whatever it is, like so Niagara's playing Canisius. So it's just a little innocent game. But so if they're minus 10, if they're minus 10, they would bet against. They would bet not to cover, because it's easier to miss a basket than it is to make a basket. So they could still win the game. They could still win the game and cover, cover, and everybody would be happy. But it's just they used to. I heard that I don't know. The guys used to talk around the club, but they were minus 9, and the kid, and it was a 10-point game. It was a 10-point game, and it was on minus 9. And the kid threw up 2 air balls. He threw up 2 air balls. Boom, boom, boom. Or clunkers. Maybe they said air balls, but they might have been telling stories. But hey, Painted Black, thank you for that, Painted Black, thank you. And yeah. So the kid, now, say you're a starter. You and your roommate, the basketball teams, they'd have their roommate, one guy, and they'd be in on it. And so you got 2 starters on the game. Sometimes they would just go the other way, even if they were the favorite, and just lose, throwing up air balls. Oh, coach, I think I got diarrhea, coach. It didn't raise any eyebrows. It didn't until things started. So say it's a fixed game. They got a guy in Vegas, and they wanted me to make that package run from because I was good at doing my run from West New York to Western New York to New York City. I was good at that run, but that was a cannonball run. that you got a target on your back when you're delivering the goods, and they wanted me to deliver out there lump sums. So when the fix is on, they got the capital, boom, 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 boom. But the mafia had guys in Vegas. Okay, so let's say they want to get down like 70,000. They would go to a casino, put 5,000 on the minute the windows open up. Then later on, put another, and at that casino, they would go. They would spread it out. They would spread it out all over. They would spread the action out over the other casinos, not to raise an eyebrow, and or they might have a guy outside or something. They make up something so because they could track your face, but they had people that lived out there that they knew and say, some pimpled faced kid that his family was in the mob or something, but he just looked like an innocent 21-year-old, and they'd say, hey, you want to make 50? Go. I don't feel like going in there. Here, put 5,000 on this. So they'd spread it out under the radar, and they made a ton of money. And a lot of times, like, remember that Art Schleister? Well, who was that guy for? He was in college. What, Art Schleister, right? He got busted. He got busted. But yeah, they were let's see what I wanted to stress something. Yeah, well, a lot of course, that information was very, very secretive information, very secretive information. And I remember a couple times I'd go in there into the club late, and uh, the old man was in there, and I says, "Geez, that's odd. What are you doing?" And he said, "Well, I'm just watching this. I'm watching this game finish up." And I'm like, "Well, what's the line on it?" And he's telling me, and he's like, "Oh yeah, well, I made so much money." I'm like, "The game ain't over." And he would laugh. He would laugh, and I would be thinking, "Yeah, okay. Uh, oh yeah, Ohio State. Yeah, Ohio State, Joel. Yeah." He said, "Yeah, I'm just waiting to watch this." And there was the kid, I think the kid and another, his father and another kid, the starters came right into the club. They came right into the club like this, but they had backdoor, whatever deals and stuff. But because these teams are 3-10, they're not going anywhere. It doesn't even matter. They're not competing for the division. This is just the most mediocre, just mediocre, and it had no meaning. It really had no meaning to anything. I mean, uh, there was a few kids from Fordham. Yeah, they were point shaving in the '90s. Fordham, they were doing that over there. Fordham, Hornell, different, just mediocre, obscure colleges. And they were getting paid. Well, I used to hear the guy. Well, a couple of guys, a couple of the crew guys up there. They legend has it, Hornell or Cornell. Yeah, Ivan Lord, Iona, Tommy Bahama. How old are you, Tommy? So they they would they knew where the dorms were. They knew where the dorms were, and you'd get a guy and see the kid, and he'd go to get in his car, and he would jump in the car. A wise guy would jump in the car with like Well, oh, 42. Yeah. Well, you know the game, Tommy. Angelo that's in prison. I don't know if he's well or not, but he's finishing out. He's in prison, but he used to tell me they would just jump in the car and hand the athlete uh thousands, whatever, how much, a lump sum, and say, don't you dare win by more than seven. Don't you dare win by more than seven, whatever it was. And then the kid's sitting there going, well, all right. But you sometimes you wonder if what if all the other kids are trying to what if all the other kids are trying to, up the score? So I think some of these kids were so scared and uh they'd throw a turnover, and they used to pull it off. They used to pull it off. Henry Hill spoke about the guys at Syracuse. Yeah, Syracuse. Well, the Las Vegas Rebels, you couldn't bet on. UNLV basketball, you couldn't bet. They didn't take bets on UNLV back then. And they were really good for a spell, way back when they had all their five starters went to the pros, but they wouldn't have fixed no games. That's when they had the Shark Tarkanian. But yeah, they would tell their roommate, yeah, I got a few $1,000 here. Take a couple, take this. We're gonna do this. We can make some money. Um, they would pick out maybe four games. Try to make it look as innocent as possible. Yeah, yeah. They had Larry Johnson, Stacey Augman. Yeah. They. I don't know why. Well, maybe Mike Francis. He when uh when he was testifying in front of the Senate hearing and all that, he mentioned um the basketball or the boxing match and everything. But I imagine he was in. I mean, I never said anything. You don't bring stuff. Very brief encounters. I'm not going to say, oh, wasn't that a good score? When they don't say that. But they were the biggest bookmaking gambling operation of the five families. And I would have to say maybe Gambino might be second, but Genovese and Lucchese, the other, they didn't they didn't get into that. No. Mm-mm. Because if, say, like the Colombo family is getting big action, and they know the game, and it's on the other side, they might pound a little action. They might bet with the Lucchese or Genovese family, but them bosses and cats, they said, nah, we ain't taking none of those type of big, because those Colombos, they're fixing every game under the sun. They were sharp. They're fixing everything. Oh, okay. They did a lot with that Boston College. They did a lot with Boston College. Yeah. No, they're not all related. Painted black. They're just they're just family names. The name of the family could be dead, but it's just they differentiate the Mafia family names. Painted black. So they just differentiate it. You know, the original member, he might have been passed away for the five. With those families. Black. But Boston College, anywhere around the tri-state area, Western New York, up in that area. But they would know the bookies, the bookies for the other families. They became aware. They became aware quick, you know. But what they would try to do too, I think, I think the Genovese. I think Genovese, they got hip to it. So when they seen that money coming in, they would have a guy in Vegas, you know, but Vegas started um being more aware of of action that was going on teams. They became more aware of what was being bet. Their intelligence became a lot better on what was being bet, the teams and the amounts, because a team like you know, Niagara, or they would get no action. They wouldn't get any action at all. And then all of a sudden you're seeing they're looking at the records, the Vegas people, and they're going, wow, me, they were all right. Geez, these people are always right when they get down. So it had to be, that's when they started putting no line. Once in a while, then with some of those smaller market teams, they put no line. Nice try. Nice try. Maybe they had something set up for that week, or maybe they didn't. But Vegas catches on quick. They just put no line. Nice try, New York City. Nice try, but they couldn't withstand all of it. They could not withstand all of it. Them guys made so much. You know, and with the Gambino, like Gotti and them, he didn't even care about that. Well, he had so much money. John Gotti was a degenerate gambler, but they had so much money, he didn't care about, oh, let's get a kid. They didn't. He was so far up. He was so far up. But the old man Sam, he was loving it. Yeah. hmm Because I came in there watching the game with him, and he rarely ever squeezed the game. He had so much money buried, but he was watching, and he says, you want to take, he says, you're gonna want to pick some, you want to, why don't you take a ride to Vegas and pick something up and bring it back? You know, and I was like, I don't want to make that run. This other cannonball run, you know, they tried to ambush me a few times from Western New York, Buffalo, Niagara Falls. They tried to, his own guys tried to ambush me when they knew I was delivering the milk and cookies to New York. So I just could imagine, uh, you know, those packages were pretty freaking healthy. And I said, nah, no, thank you. No, I'll pay you guys. I said, nah, they'll find me in the desert, Sam. No, 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 no. I told my godfather too after that, you know, and he said, no, no, no. Why don't you finish up there, Jojo? Hey, Francis, he said, why don't you finish up there, because I don't want you to get too daring. But the money, and see, when you do Western Union and all that, you'd have to go like under 5,000 to Western Union, and it's too much record keeping. And you know what, they'd have to send 4,999, $1 under 5,000 to wire money without having to do like a duplicate form on that. So it wasn't about uh uh money going. No, it's just a carrier delivering or receiving, and just go get the money, and that's it. But I don't want to do that. Mm-mm, mm-mm. No, I was down there just for my own leisure, just for my own enjoyment of Vegas. You know, and I saw a couple guys that were from no, you know, but I didn't say nothing to them. I didn't say nothing to them because it's best not to, you know. So yeah, they made so much money. I mean, it, they had these kids, they had them college students, and there's been some highly publicized um news items and things like that, but it happened a lot. It happened a lot. and them guys made a ton of money. They made a ton of money. There was nothing better, but see, you had the hierarchy. You had the hierarchy of captains, bosses, and there might only be one boss, the Colombo boss. There might be only one boss that actually knows what's going on. The crew didn't even know. Like that Sam's crew, all those degenerate gamblers, they wouldn't know. You couldn't tell them. You couldn't tell them. The cat would be out of the bag in a half an hour. You couldn't tell them. They knew what was going on, and they knew that Sam was going to propose that to me or something to ride out there and change my old run, which is 400, almost 400 miles to Vegas, drive to Vegas, around the clock, because I could drive. I had a clean license, but I was like, hey, T. Hinton. Yeah, a lot of schools up there. Sienna was in the mix, Tommy Bahama. Sienna. They got all the money. They got happy holidays, everybody. T. Hinton. You got to understand that in the mob life, everything rotated around gambling. Just everything revolved gambling. Just whatever it was, horses, football, baseball, it was just gambling. And 90% of the people in the cruise, they all gambled. Maybe 80%. But everything revolved around gambling. Everything. And to know there was a fixed game, oh my gosh. There's people back then that accumulated generational wealth from that era. From that era to today, they still have. I thought it was milk and eggs. Keep your story straight, Jojo. Juju, you're real funny. Yeah. Sometimes the eggs would be bulk size, but I don't want to deliver those. I got to mix it up, Ivan Lore. But that gambling, oh my gosh, the gambling. They would gamble on anything. They would gamble on anything. They would gamble on if I came up there, and they would gamble on how much money I had in my pocket. What's JoJo's bankroll? Well, they used to call it weigh you up. What do you weigh JoJo up for? That term means how much do you think he's holding? What kind of bankroll do I have? My right pocket. What do you weigh JoJo up for? He don't even have 200. The over-under is 200, because I didn't have it. I didn't have a lot of money, but and the guy would say, oh, under, that JoJo, he's broke. And it'd go under. He'd go, the other guy would lose. They would bet anything. He'd go, you broke, blah, 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 blah. I said, well, you guys don't pay me enough. What do you think? How could you bet the over? You're tightwads. How could you bet the over with him? I got 42 wrinkled dollars in my pocket. Come on. Don't be silly. The other guy said, yeah, but what's he got in his sock? You never show your hand. You never show your hand. But it was fun. It was fun. But everything revolved around gambling. That Sam made millions. He did. One time, a rare time, I had to go there late at night, and honestly, I can't even remember what it was for, but I ended up there, and in the back, you walk in the back, there's the kitchen area, and then there's the bar and dining area, and I had to do something. I can't even remember, but I was going to take off. He said, oh, no, Jojo, hold on, about whatever. I got to do something. So there was like this door, which I thought was like a janitor closet, like a door, and there would be like the mop and cleaning utensils. And so I'm leaning up against one of the, counters in the kitchen. And I said, "What are you gonna do? Mop the floor? I'll mop it." But so he didn't say nothing. He turned. It was a fake wall. He turned. It was on a swivel, and he turned, and there was like shelves, and it was all stacks of money in there. And he turned around. He said, "I gotta kill you now, Jojo." I said, "Yeah, right." He said, "You didn't see." He said, "What are you looking at?" I go, mm, mm, mm. But there's a guy. I believe somebody owned the house right next door to that club, and there was it was under guard. It was under guard. It would look like if it was closed and no business hours, or there's just nobody there anyways, somebody was watching. They had people right next door, and you could pay a guy 20 an hour you could pay a guy, but he had a ton in there. And I thought, oh my gosh, wow, nobody saw that. Nobody saw that, but it was easy to fix those games back then. It was real easy. Who else we got in here? Hey, happy holidays. Yeah, we made it another year. Thank you, Jesus. And because that crew was a bad acting crew. And before I delivered the milk and good, the before I'm the way I delivered, somebody somebody freaking who did my job before I did it, because those deliveries would get ambushed. Yeah, now they pay the kids the NIL deals. Wow. Them kids now, the athletes, they get paid. Be impossible now. You can't fix nothing now. That's mm-mm, uh-uh. You know, if Michael Jordan he'd bet himself to win. Michael Jordan, he would just he'd bet on himself. Pete Rose, they said Pete Rose never bet against him. He never bet against the Reds. Pete Rose, he never bet against them. They want to mess with Pete Rose, and they're worse. They're worse. They're worse. You know the baseball league, they're worse. They're worse. They're worse. Yeah. Wow, Dion's son, he made 6 million for college. What about Travis Hunter? Jeez. Nah, I don't handicap. I used to like T Hinton. I used to like to bet the horse races. The guys from the crew, we'd go up. There was a place, and off track betting. Rarely would they go to the racetrack, the physical racetrack, but they would bet on New York City Aqueduct, Belmont, Santa Anita, and them guys would go up to the off track betting and bet for the horse races. But everything was just gambling, gambling, gambling. So yeah, the Bills, they pulled it off. New England was trying to come back, but they that's all they did. Mhm. Yeah, Yonkers Raceway, Mohawk, that's in Canada. A long time ago, they had Garden State. Well, I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a story about the horse races. Look, we got a horse there, Mr. Ed, and then we got the horses up there. Hey, Joey Merlino used to be a horse race jockey, Monticello Raceway. Um, I was younger. I was younger, and I was working the standard bread. There's thoroughbred. Tommy Bahama knows. There's thoroughbred and there's standard bread. Standard bread had the sulkies. Okay, so I'm working for a guy, and I'm young. I'm young. He had a leading stable. All his horses were good. They would always go. They would always be the favorite, and they were good. And he would always panhandle me my pay. I used to muck the stalls. I was younger. I used to muck the stalls like during the summer, and um, I he I would wait. Oh, I'll be there. Muck the stalls is cleaning the crap out of them, clean the crap, the urine, and then make a nice bed for them, and then put the feed out. No, and then have the water. So they'd have the water bucket outside of the stall. So he was always and he had a ton of money. These horses were all making money. They were all in the top races. So he's nickel and diming me. He owes me 1 week's pay. We had 6 horses win. We had 19 horses on the shed row. He had 6 winners. He had a ton of winners and everything. And he's not paying me. So I confronted him one time. I had the pitchfork. I had a pitchfork, the pitchfork. And he was there and he goes, "Oh, well, like when I get done playing cards or bowling." So I would wait there. Back then they had a groom's quarters. They had a groom's quarters right on the track. So I'd come down, go to the barn and wait, and he'd always stiff. So I says, "You know what? That's all right. I'm gonna get him." So back then, forgive me, God, but he had like 7 horses in on like a Saturday night. He had like 7 horses in on a Saturday night, and they would treat these horses. They would do a routine. I'm not going to get really elaborate on it, but they would pre-race the horses, and their performance would be they you know they would win or be second. But when they would treat the horses at 4 o'clock, you'd have to take the water out of their stall and the hay out of their stall, because if they drank and ate hay, it would screw their stomach up. So he's gonna have 7 favorites that night. He's gonna have 7 favorites on a Saturday night, and I'm gonna do this little maneuver and put the water and hay in there, and that'll make a reaction in their gut. They won't. They'll make it to the half-mile marker, and then they'll just crap the bed. So yeah, I don't want it. It wouldn't harm the horse. It wouldn't harm the horse or anything. So I didn't have a lot of bankroll. I didn't have a lot of bankroll, and I went to a guy that I knew that had Italian guy. He had a lot of money. So after I did that, like at 4, the races would start at like 7:15. So I called him up and I told him, "You got to come to the races. You got to come to the races tonight. I'll tell you what's going on when you get here." So, so he had the money to bet those races, because when you got a 3 to 5 shot that's not going to be in the trifecta, he ain't going to be in the exacta. So you got the favorite. Everybody in the crowd is betting on the horse, and he ain't going to be in it. You could make advantageous bets with the other horses that are going to be longer shots. So yeah, so we swept the whole we swept the whole card, made a few bucks, and the guy that I worked for, he was smart enough to know what happened. And so there was a bar near the racetrack, right at the corner of the racetrack, and would go in there afterwards. And I'm in there, being cool, mild mannered, cool and relaxed, just chilling out. and I wasn't much of a drinker. And here he comes. He comes in the door. He goes, "You little," but I said, "Bro, when you go down FU Road, I'm gonna F you back. That's all. You don't owe me that 4 weeks pay. You don't owe me that 4 weeks pay. You don't owe me that. You don't owe me that." Now he had a brother that raced horses that would just race a couple horses. He was a psychopath. He was just a complete psychopath. He made a lot of scenes. He used to do the blow and all that. He was a psychopath. And and I was at the barn 3 or 4 days later, and he said, "Jojo, come on, I'm gonna get." And I'm thinking that's odd. So he wants me to get in the car with him. So I got in the car. He's got you know, that he's got some sniffing goods in a bag like Scarface, and he's blasting away. He's going, "What happened? What did you do to my brother? What did you do to my brother?" I just said, "Listen, he would always make me wait at the barn. He would never pay. All these horses are making big money, big money. I work like a slave. I'm there on call." And he said, "Yeah, he deserves it." He's like, "How much did you make? How much did you make?" I said, "No, I had to get another guy. I had to get another guy to help me out." So, oh wow. But the racing's changed a lot now. It ain't there's no handle. There's no handle on these local harness tracks. There's no handle. They've run it into the ground. The Meadowlands in New Jersey, they do good race in the Meadowlands. Yonkers has big purses because now the racetracks are um the racetracks are compensated by the casinos, the casinos. So they run the races. They don't take a lot of handle these days, but back then there used to be a big crowd. There used to be a big crowd at the races. So if you could fix a horse race, oh yeah, MGM bought Yonkers. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was the good old days. Where was the good old days? So what else we got here? Thanks for coming in and helping me out. But yeah, that's yeah. They used to make a compound. They used to make a compound, and then they would give it to the horse, and then you couldn't hay. You couldn't. You had to take the hay, and they would fly around the track. They would fly around the track. You could bet on the horse. But if you water them and hay them, you got leverage. A favorite is going to be out of the race. So, yeah, he knew I did it. And his brother knew I did it. His brother was a real crazy guy. This family, these two brothers, their family had a lot of money. They had a lot of money. And the guy I worked for, he was like a mad scientist. He was like a mad scientist to do these little cutie moves, with substances and things like that. He was a studied chemist, and he could make them horses go. He could make them horses go. They had money. That family had money. Yeah. Yeah. He was leading trainer. Then I worked for the other leading trainer, another guy. These two trainers were always going for number one. But then I worked for another trainer, John, and he was nice. He was nice. He would hook me up. He would always take care of me real good. I did the worst job. I did all the slave work, and then the groom's quarters were right there on track on site. So he could call up and say, "Oh, Joe, can you go feed them at 5 and then put the food out for the rest of the night?" So that was good. And he would take care of me because he didn't want to drive. He didn't want to drive there and do it or get somebody else to do it because he knew I was there. But he always took care of me. The other guy, I worked like a slave, and he still didn't want to pay me. And I was nice. I was nice all the time. I was nice all the time, but Then I says, well, I gotta get him. I gotta get him. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him real good. You know. But it was all on the down. It wasn't known, but there was other smart people around the racetrack. They were like, wow, somebody did something to all them horses because not one of those horses got a check. Every one of his horses that night finished up the racetrack. Yeah. Farting and shitting all over the damn track. Farting and shitting. Blowouts all over. Yeah. I knew the jockey real good. I knew the jockey real good. And he was a real quiet, mild mannered guy. Good guy. Real good guy. Mild mannered guy. And his dad worked at the other end of the shed row. And I was out there chilling out outside of the barn. And he came in and he just walked by. He just walked by me. I thought he was, but he was a tough guy. He was a boxer, but he was a jockey, but he was real good. South Buffalo kid. Them kids from South Buffalo, they were tough Irish. He said, yeah, did you get enough, Joey? I said, what? He just walked by. I was like, you're damn right I did. Sorry, he didn't make any money. He didn't make any money on those mounts, but hey, all's fair in love and war. So, yeah, crazy. That ain't in the book. I didn't put that in the book. I didn't put that in the book. Yeah. Now they got tests. Well, back then they would have the judges that they would test horses, but there were guys that were smart enough, chemists, that would be their their knowledge would surpass the race judges' knowledge. Their knowledge would surpass their knowledge. They're behind the curve. They're behind the curve. And then you would hear somebody say, "Oh, we can't use that anymore because they're testing for it." Wow, so they'd get hip. And a lot of times people would get busted and then they would tell. They would tell, then there'd be suspensions and stuff like that. So people would tell. They would tell, you know. Just like with anything, they all rat it, they rat out, you know. Yeah. Well, both of those guys I worked for, I think, yeah, I'm pretty 99.9. A few years after that, they got barred for life. They got barred for life. But then you could always get somebody else to be the name. You could use somebody else's name. They get their horseman's license, their trainer's license, their owner's license. So you could use other people. It'd just be a pain in the ass. Yeah, try to fix everything. But I would never with the horses, I would never want to tell the wise guy about the horse race, because they would just look bad. It would look bad. It was two different worlds. Two different worlds. I wouldn't go up to the club and say, "Oh, and tout a horse or something." We used to go to the OTB and bet on horses and just handicap horses and just do our best to study the form and then gamble like that, just like any other civilian. That's all it was, a gambling life. It was just a gambling life. Now I'm older and I used to like to study. I was a real good handicapper of picking horses, studying the racing form. I was really good at that, but I'm older now and I've got away from it. I got away from it. I'll go to the casino, have a coffee, smoke a cigarette, and play the slots for freaking 40 cents a spin. I don't have any money. So I would just do that, chill out just to get out of the house. It was a good era though. It was a real good era. So what else we got going on here? We got a real big show, a real big show. Merry Christmas, everybody, from Santa and me. See, these guys like this. Don't tell nobody. See, Santa? He said, don't tell nobody. Yeah. There ain't no laws. There ain't no laws. He says, keep it on the down low, Santa. It's a secret Santa. Hey, this is the original secret Santa. Yeah. Sam was really generous. He was really, really generous with donating to certain things around. Yeah, he was really good. Yeah. Debbie, thanks for the shirt. Thank you, Deb. See, I knew the right time to wear it. What else we got going on here? So yeah, we're rocking and rolling. Hey, it's supposed to warm up. We're in a cold spell right now, but it's supposed to warm up. I'll give you the weather report too. Anything else you want to know? I'll give you the weather report. Yeah. 6 degrees, winds north, northwest, 5 to 10 miles an hour. Barometric pressure 29.31 and rising. Humidity 40%. Okay. Yeah, they were John Gotti used to go around New York. John Gotti used to go around the neighborhood handing out 500 and $100 bills. Everybody in the streets or people that he knew might struggle. There was nobody, you know. You like Sam Champion with the weather? You like Sam Champion with the... Joy Merlino just had a big giveaway and everything. I got to give Joy Merlino credit. He just had a big uh, bikes. They were knocking on doors, busting people in to come. And then somebody made a fire thing. It was probably that Chicklets over there. I'm not going to say his name because this is a friendly show, and I'm not going to try to bash other guys or whatever they're doing, what all that stuff. But if I had to guess, I'd say Chicklets did it. If nobody knows what that means, anyways, but someone tried to call the fire marshal on the building where Joey Merlino's giving away charity, over 120,000 worth of charity. Some numbnut wants to call and say, "Oh," but they said, "No, it's all right." Wow, wow, what a Grinch! What a Grinch! Hmm. What a Grinch! That guy's no good. That elder guy, he's no good. I gave him a shot to watch the channel and stuff. He's no good. Nah, he ain't. He's no good. Yeah, they tried to shut him down. Yeah, they tried to shut Joey Merlino with with a charity work. Wow, people are just. I don't mean to bash Mike Francis, but why doesn't he ever have any giveaways? The Church of Mike. I mean, all he does is sell his socks and underwear and everything else. And, you know, how come he doesn't do any of that? Ah, Francis, don't start any trouble. You want me to bash? I mean, he gets up there telling all these stories, the gas tax scheme and, hundreds of millions and everything else. And, you know, he didn't share it with his family, allegedly. Allegedly. That's where I draw the line. Forget about if he ratted or whatever, but, you know, your mother, your mother, your mother, and your brother, and, it's bad. It's bad. I mean, I don't want to bash, but I don't know. I always say that, but I end up bashing, forgive me. But he had all that money. Well, he paid off who he had to pay off, but spread it. John Gotti was the people's gangster. John Gotti, he was the people of the street gangsters. He knew who was struggling and everything. My godfather, excuse me, coffee. Used to say he would know uh neighborhood people, Mrs. Manicotti or somebody. And they'd run, go over there and give thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars away in that neighborhood. In that neighborhood. tons and tons of money. Yeah, he had a heart. Yeah, he had a heart. All Mike does is got his hand out. What the hell? I mean, doesn't the church say, take care of the downtrodden? Maybe he missed that verse. I don't know. Let me see. I don't know. Is it in there? Take care of the downtrodden. Is it in Corinthians or something? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he had a different Bible when he was in solitary confinement. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Greed. Greed. Well, let's see what the 10 Commandments say. I don't know. Does it say anything about greed? Yeah. Well, it's in there somewhere. Let's look at these 10 Commandments. Now let's put them away. I think I broke every one of them. Not kill. Not kill. Nope. Not kill. He promotes his wine in every video. It's always there. The wine. It's got a nice bouquet and a Sauvignon. It's from the southern vineyards of France. And yeah. Come on, man. Donate something. Joey Merlino don't have a lot of money. They're down there. John A. Light does big donations in the streets. Him and all his sophistication. So, I don't know. I'm not the sheriff. Yeah. Ivan Lore, what was he selling pizzas out of a vending machine? I don't know. Yeah. Oh, come on. Trying to shelter the money. I understand, because if you have a church, then there's no taxes. He was selling frozen pizza. This guy's insane. This guy's completely insane. Yeah. Let's go to Cuba, charge everybody 10,000, and then not even go rock and roll with the people. I don't know. Legend has it. Everything on my channel is allegedly. Everything from A to Z on my channel is allegedly. Okay. Oh, he is Southern Cal. Maybe it ain't my position and things like that. You say live and let live, but when you want to get up there and posture yourself for such a good Christian and all that, and then, well, geez, if you're such into Christianity, then open up a damn California of homeless, and California is just turning into a garbage pail state. Well, open up a shelter or something, or give away some whatever, socks, sneakers, do something. You can write it off anyways. Geez, I don't know. What the hell? One thing, forget about the mob and ratting and all that. Here a rat, there a rat, everywhere a rat. Forget about all that. Just humanitarianly speaking, you preach a good sermon, bro, but go visit the Son of Sam again. Okay. Sell your wine and books with the Son of Sam. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Go visit the Son of Sam. Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Ivan Lord. I believe you're right. Just greedy. Greedy. Boy, he escaped. He had to, when he left New York, he had to escape from Alcatraz, boy. Run. Just like the Pink Floyd song. Run. I got a bouquet, a nice wine, and he's over there with Chaz Palminteri, and his face is falling off, and they're doing a wine promotion. Oh yeah, Chaz Palminteri had connections with the mob. He was an actor. They're both actors. He acted like he was a boss or a captain. They put a pin on him. They said, run the gambling stuff over there. Run the little hustle things over there. That's all shit. You heard it all before. Maybe the dog was talking to Mike, Ivan. Maybe the son of Sam, maybe the same dog was talking to Mike. Go out to visit him. Maybe he heard the same dog. Everybody's got a right to hustle. That's fine. But if you got the biggest YouTube channel out there, let me plug this in. Let me plug this in, folks. Hold on. Let's get this. All right, let's get some more juice on this. I was gonna fade to black. You know, if everybody's got a right to hustle. Hey, Mo Ali, where you been? Come sit down. We'll open up a keg of nails. You promote yourself, and you're the Christian and the righteous and all that. Well, do something. Everything's a commercial. There's a YouTuber called El Prophet. He covers crime. He had a 20-minute video of Francis and the dirty dealings and then going Christian. Oh, El Prophet, I got to check that out. Thank you. Tommy Bahama. Chaz is a prick. He used to walk around Arthur Ave. Like, did he really, Tommy? He used to walk around like he was... Oh, man. Another actor. Lord have mercy. I saw a promo, Tommy, and all you good people. I saw the promo where Mike and Chaz were standing on stage, and it was like when the charlatans would come through town and sell their wares and stuff, like those religious, the religious guys like Ernest Ainsley. Can you say, and they would be those Christian evangelists. They would be the Christian evangelists. When I was little, I'd see them on TV. Well, they're still running around today, but Mike and Chaz were doing a promo. They sounded like the evangelists. They sound like the Christian evangelists. I was embarrassed for them. It was their two Mama Lukes. Two Mama Lukes. Maybe I would have looked through a different lens if he said, well, we're going to give 80% to charity. Yeah. Yeah. His charity. Well, we're going to give it to charity. We'll maybe give it to a church. Oh, how about the Church of Mike? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah. He was never a proposed member. Oh my gosh. What, he give Mike 500 to say that somewhere? What did he pay him? What did he pay Mike? Mike said, I'll say it, but here, throw me a $1,000. Yeah, I'll say it. Yeah, Chaz was proposed by the Gambino guy, down on freaking Mulberry or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, but he didn't want it. Yeah. He might have, it's safe to say, maybe in those neighborhoods, he might have been able to go in there and eat or something. And these are public places that are clubs, but there's locals that would go sit and eat in those places, just like Sam's Club. There's local people that eat the fish fries and the lunch special. There's people that would come in, civilians. Yeah. He's going to, yeah. He's going to go collect. Yeah. Mm. If Chaz went somewhere to go collect some money off of somebody, when he came back, he would be missing his watch. He wouldn't have his watch. He'd be like, no, tell me, I don't want to go back there. I don't want to go back there anymore. But that's his hustle. That's his hustle. They all want to. This is a small channel. I've been censored for 2 years. They just turned my channel back on. But, I used to watch Mike talk all that stuff on there and everything, and it used to get me aggravated because it was a lot of but people fall for it. So hey, People fall for it. That's his hustle, you know. That's his hustle. But he ran out west and he waited for everybody to pass away or they're doing life in prison. And then he started telling his stories. You know, well, he's got good stories. He's got good stories, whether they're true or not. He's still a good storyteller, and he's got real good political beliefs. I like his political stand. You know, hey, Paul Gasse, look, it's how long of it? We're over an hour. We're over an hour into this right now. I was talking about the gambling network and fixing all the games, and boy, they got their pockets full. Boy, oh boy, they one thing that they the best thing in the world is when these higher up guys would have those fixed sports games. Oh man, they live for that. They live for that. They're always in the weeds trying to get some players. Over verified years, Philly immediately went to the cops. Yeah, well, they say, oh, the mob is still going on in New York, and if you're even bookmaking, even if you're a bookie, now all the casinos, the FanDuel, uh, DraftKings, you could gamble off your phone, but there might be bookies. If there's bookies that are out there, yes, that take only huge bets. They're not going to take $25 parlays. They're not going to take $50 parlays. They deal with wealthy people that are betting at least 1,000 a game, and they settle every 20,000. They settle. They're not going back and forth. That's all a higher elitist uh, circle, not the old traditional gambling ring. The Colombo, they had the biggest gambling ring on planet Earth. They had the biggest gambling ring anywhere. And, you know, what would the mob be doing today? That's my question. What would the mob be doing today? What would be their hustle? What would the mafia's racket be today? There's guys taking huge bets that are not even from a historical crime family. Maybe a great uncle or somebody down the line. Maybe if it was that close. There's independent people, they're not pushovers, but in my belief, they're not from a historical crime family. So what would the mafia today be making money on? Maybe high-tech stuff. But you got to find a Pee Wee Herman. You got to find a genius nerd or something somewhere that could do false titles and all that, whatever, different types of crimes, Yeah, I mean, I don't know what would, hey, Mr. Spataro, what would the racket be? I don't know what the racket, what would it be? And if there's a racket, and they say they still have the crime families, say there's one family that's doing sports betting, and you got to be real sharp on that if you're handling the money. Well, you got to pay. You might. Who's to say you're going to win? And you got to still pay the members of the family. They get weekly pay. You know, they get weekly pay. So I can't see financially on five different counts, it's not sustainable. On five different levels, it's not sustainable. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Mr. Rockford, what's going on? Pimp out the credit card thieves' property deals. Credit cards. this is what you do, folks. If you got good credit, if you got good credit, say you're 65 and you got good credit, get a credit card, max it out, and pay it all off in one payment. Next month, they'll raise the limit. Okay. And then you'll get some credit card offers from another company. And you do the same thing. So you do a credit card, you get a credit card, you get a credit card. You get them in the mail all the time. Okay. This is for the 60 and over, 65 and over crowd. I can't get no credit. I don't even want to deal, But if you got good credit, you get you get credit card offers all the time in the mail. Okay. Well, I'm just saying, maybe it might happen where you just pay it all off and excuse me, you pay it off and they'll raise your limit. They'll raise your limit. They'll raise the cash available, because some credit cards early when you're doing that, it might be just for merchandise, and then there might be a portion of cash. But when you build it up, like say for a year or 2 years, and now you got 30 credit cards with 5,000 cash limit. Well, 30 credit cards with 5,000 cash limit, run them up. And then you file for bankruptcy and just say, I'm a psychopathic gambler. Your Honor, I'm just a psychopathic gambler, and I got all these credit cards and I ran them all up. I ran all the cash balances up, and why not? They can't put you in jail. Their interest rates are worse than the mob. Their interest rates, talk about loan sharks. Who's going to cry a river? Who's going to cry a river for the credit card company? You go into bankruptcy court, and the judge that's probably presiding is don't like the credit card companies anyways. So when you go to bankruptcy court, well, here we got Johnny Rigatoni, and what happened? Well, he ran up 30 credit cards, 5,000 cash. He walked away with 150,000. He claims he blew it all gambling. What's the judge going to do with him when that judge is paying 30% interest on his credit cards? He can't do nothing. It's white collar crime. It's just that's white collar. 30%, Francis. The border, yeah, Juju. Those credit card, they're the bosses of the crime families. They're the new bosses. Yeah. They might. I know a handful of guys that did that, and. Let me get a coffee. 2 minutes, and then we'll finish up. Just 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I gotta tell this story. It's got me crazy. Yeah. I gotta get another cup of coffee for this story. I gotta get a cup. Well, you get a credit card. You gotta pay the application fee, and then by the time you activate that card, and it says 29.9%. No, now it looks like 47.2%. So who's going to cry a river for the credit card companies? Yeah. Francis Franciotti, you were well trained. Yeah. You got that business mind. Oh, but I'll tell you, where I first heard it, and then I proposed it to a couple other guys because I wanted a piece. I wanted a piece of the action. Hold on. All right. Got to refresh in the coffee. There was a guy that used to go to the track. Most honest, honorable, proper guy. Good guy. He wouldn't jaywalk. And I used to go to the track, and he was asking me some questions about credit card and whatever the rates. I was always good in math or whatever, so he didn't make a payment. He didn't make a payment or something, and he got really peed off. He got really peed off. He was older, very respectable, honorable guy, not in the mob or anything like that. And I saw him come and go, and I was out in the parking lot. He had this beautiful new car. He didn't have a lot of money. And he told me what he did. He said he got so peed off at the credit card companies, and he did that scheme. And he had like 40 or 50, whatever. And he averaged like maybe, 5,000, 3,000 different cards. Maybe 10 of them had 5,000 limit cash. But he did it. He kept paying the whole balance. He kept paying. And then he blew them all out. And he had all the cash. Went to bankruptcy court. So I told a couple of guys that, smart guys, you just can't tell regular roly-poly guys. I'm going to tell somebody, Emmanuel, I'm going to tell somebody that's sharp, understands it, and they're not just a broker off the street. And so I would, if you're reading the racing forum, it's between the races and you're just talking small talk, and I'd say, hey, did you hear what Phil did? And I'm the one who put it in Phil's mind, but I said, yeah, wow, he did this little thing where he opened up all these credit cards, and he's going, yeah, they send them to me in the mail every day. They're no good, blah blah blah. I said, well, start applying for them. They want to send them in your mail every day. Yeah, this offer, that offer, this offer, that offer. Because when you make that first payment, go to JCPenney or go to a store and spend the limit of the card. Spend the limit of the card. And then when the payment comes, pay it in full. So that raises the antennas because they all share information. Just like insurance companies, they all share information. So that raises the radar, and the other companies are like, oh, well, he looks like, honest. So then you get flooded. Then you'd get flooded with them. He said he could have opened up. You're getting applications from credit card companies you never even heard of. All these different these subsidiaries. Now that's a score. Them guys are running around. Some of the crew guys, they might make $1,500 a week. Well, back then it was good money. $1,500 a week or $1,000 a week, depending on what the hell your duties are. So if that's 1,000 a week, that's 52,000 a year, tax free. Yes, tax free. 52,000 a year looks like 75,000 if you were getting taxed. So, yeah, I mean, you pull off something like that, a nice little racket like that, that's more than a week's salary for, in relationship to that. So I don't know. I don't know if they can do that today. I don't know. It would take you a lot longer. But back then, you could get a credit card application one a day in the mail back then. Back then, they were just an onslaught, an onslaught. Everybody wanted to get in the credit card game. Everybody wanted to get in the credit card game. All these corporations and business, by the time you're done with the application fee, it's big. Acquisitions paid good too. Yeah. So, these gangsters are doing crimes for a lot less money, risking going to jail, and your life might be in danger too, where you could do a scheme like that, go to bankruptcy court. Yeah, okay. Who cares? Go to bankruptcy court. Yeah. Or you could set up a deal on 100,000. You're a psychopathic gambler, and they'll say, you have to honor 5,000. You have to honor 5,000, pay back 5,000. You could pay 50 a week for 2 years. Some crazy, whatever. Some, small payment plan. No problem. No problem. If you grab 150 large, who cares? You gotta try. Whoa, wow. Thank you, everybody. Oh yeah, Juju. Yeah, I mean, these are rough times and everything, and there's it's a different era. It's a different era. Back then, they were doing a lot of insurance fraud. A lot of insurance fraud back then. Yeah. A guy would go in a grocery store and do the slip and fall, and next thing you know, he's got 25 thou. There were, a lot of people were doing insurance fraud and getting away with it. Yeah. Yeah. And they would, there was a guy that was a genius guy. There was a genius guy that he would go to the club, and he was an ex-military kind of guy, really, really smart guy. And he used to get little specks of aluminum foil, and then well, he'd go buy like mayonnaise. Don't do this. This is all allegedly. This is all bull crap. I'm just gonna make up a story here. My channel's allegedly. So would this be an idea? Would this be a good idea, folks, or is this a bad idea? Go to the store and get a receipt and buy some mayonnaise, and then take it home and crack the top of the lid, the glass. Back then it was glass. So, and then get little aluminum foil specks, and then ingest the aluminum foil, and then get sick and everything else, and then go and then do an x-ray, and the aluminum foil will show up like if there was like glass particles in your gut, and it's just tearing your guts apart. And then you call Kraft up with your lawyer and go, holy cow, well, the jar was broke on the top, and there was stuff in there, and chunks of glass and all that. So they used to try everything back then. They would try everything. A lot of people would owe a lot of money, and they'd be thinking ways to pay. Some people, they owe these gangsters a ton of money. They're trying to think of everything under the sun before the man comes looking for them. Before the guy, the guy with the nose, he comes knocking on your door. They're trying everything, any kind of scheme they could do. Yeah, that's all allegedly. Everything on my channel is allegedly. Yeah, it's crazy. I didn't mess around with all that. It seemed like too much energy to try to do the credit card, all that. I was educated. I did another job. I did a different job to make. When I divorced that, when I divorced that hanging with them, I divorced it. Not that I was an altar boy, but I divorced they're hanging with them. Mm-mm, mm-mm. When it's time to go, you gotta go. When there's the door, then you go. Because I broke the rules a few times, and I didn't. It's no way to live. Not for being academically the way I excelled academically, then to be running around doing all that crazy stuff is no good. But greed would get you. Greed would get you. Greed. But if I would have made a run from New York to Vegas, I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have made it. Delivering the milk? No, I wouldn't have made it. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Uh, uh, a lot of freaking graves out there in that Vegas desert. Uh-uh. No way. And them guys know. Them guys know when when you got a big package of donuts and milk and bread, and then it leaks out to some guy that owes 40,000. Some guy that's crapping his pants, and then if something leaks out and they know somebody's making a delivery or picking something else from Vegas, that's too easy. You just get ambushed in the desert in your car. I ain't doing that. Why? What happened to the last guy? You know, what happened to the guy before me? I used to ask the old man that. You're proposing me. Yeah, you got a good license. You got a clean license. Yeah, 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 yeah. So the guy before me, Benny Blanco, Benny Bianco. No, Benny Blanco from the Bronx. Hey, how's it going? Joseph and the crew. I'm just doing my thing. Little holiday stuff. Thank you for joining, Benny. Telling about the old football, the fixing the games, basketball games with the small schools, Benny. You know, they love to fix a game. They love to fix a game. But if I would have run, if I would have delivered the goods out to Vegas, I wouldn't have never made it there or back. If I made it there, I probably wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have made it back. I would never have made it back. Uh, uh, when they tried to ambush me the first time, and I went up to Sam. After that, my godfather was pissed in Brooklyn, and when I went back to the old man boss, and I started saying, uh, um, "You can't control your crew. They're out there freaking trying to ambush me. You can't, And he got real mad. You can't do that. You can't do that. Happy holidays to everyone, Benny Blanco from the Bronx. Hey, you like the stories? Yeah. Thank you, Benny. I'm not a flashy guy. I got a little lighting here. They censored me for 2 years or a year. I'm just a little grassroots guy. That's all. I don't have editing and fancy stuff. But it's all right. I'm an old guy. It kills time. Yeah, but they were the sports gambling ring they had running in the northeast sector, going all the way to Canada, all points west. That was a network of big, and they had the guys in Vegas to get down on big money. and then they would want some of that money to come back to New York, and they want yours truly to do it, but there's too many degenerates that that information might leak out. So you're going to get tailed. I drive, and you're going to get tailed. What are you going to be out in the middle of the desert and somebody's going to just run you off the road or just pull up and start shooting at because they know you got a package? Nah. Uh-uh. He said, well, oh no, I'm giving you an opportunity to make a lot more. You can make a lot more. I says, well, what happened to the last guy? He's buried in the desert somewhere, if I had to guess. What the heck? No, it's all right. It's all right. You could do it in how many hours? You could drive around the clock. I used to try to always be fast. You know, I used to just choo, choo, choo. Actually used to try to impress the old man, but it ain't no good. That's a cannonball run. Remember Cannonball Run? That's like a run the gauntlet. Uh-uh. If you're on the road, say I'm on the road, I gotta deliver the donuts from, say, Niagara to New York. Unbeknownst to me, there I'm on Route 20. It's under the thruway, Route 20, and there could be a guy that's privileged with that information and just see me as an easy target, but the boss might have somebody watching me. So he could be 2 cars back. So it could be me and then a freaking a bad guy, swindler, and then another guy behind him. So somebody we might and I used to do this little turn off. I used to do this little turn off. I used to always try to make time, but I would try to turn off that route for 5 minutes and then see when I got back on the highway who would still be behind me. You know, just try these tricks, see who would still be behind me. And then after 5 miles or something, because they would speed and I would obey. You got to obey the speed limit when you're delivering. I obey. I don't have a ticket or not. You got to obey. So they could catch up to me again because it's 55 back then. They might be doing 70, so they could catch back up. So after like 20 minutes, a half an hour, I look at my rear view and I could see, these pair of cars that are just chilling out and they're not passing. They're just staying in the equidistance, the same distance space. And I'm thinking, so when I got to New York, my godfather, sometimes he would know. Now, my godfather did a lot of work for the Colombos. He freelanced. He did a lot of, you know what I mean? And I would get there and he would say, well, what's on the road? How'd the road look? And I'd say, well, this or that or whatever. And he'd say, no, it'd be all right on the way back. He'd go make a phone call or something. And then I'd say, because what's crazy? You deliver bread and milk there. Okay. So you think that's it. But then you bring bread and milk back because they wanted the books to be straight. Well, why don't you just subtract? Why don't you just subtract the difference? No, they just want everything the same way. So I would just tell him, strange cars. Now, he was working for the Colombos a lot longer before I popped up on the scene, and he already knew all that foul play and stuff that went on. And I don't want to say whatever, what happened, what might have happened during a couple of those runs. It's not good. It's just bad. Yeah, well, thank Jesus. Thank you to guardian angels and divine intervention. Here's a book. there's a book. Link is in the description. It's all allegedly, but if you want to see what might have happened, whether it's true or false, it's in here. You know what I mean? It's in there. Some of the maybe the Cannonball Run might be in there. Yeah. Well, them guys would just look and say, "Wow, that's an easy score. Who's this punk? Me, I'm the punk. Oh, who's the new kid? Who's the new kid? Well, yeah, the skinny kid. Skinny JoJo. Yeah, let's bust them up." Mm. But I was a thinker. I mean, the angels saved me. The angels saved me, and my Godfather saved me. But I I would always think the worst and then act accordingly. Act accordingly. That's all. And when them guys were talking on the phone all the time, blah blah blah, I would talk in code. I always told them in person. I always I always told them in person, if there's any time there's a message and I'm talking, I've got a code. I got code words set up, and they agreed. They agreed. I got code words set up. These guys would just be on the phone, just talking willy nilly sometimes. Mm-mm. But there was very limited, very rare, limited uh, something that would happen. If it was my godfather from New York, he would say, "Oh, we're gonna go to the game," or like the Jets game. Are you gonna come to the Jets game or whatever? Just something like that means uh, that's the cue that I'm rocking and rolling. So maybe I'll see you when I get there, and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah. You gotta think of the worst. Think of the worst. The scumbags in Sam's crew, the scumbags in his crew were taking shots at me. And I'm driving them around at night because I was an errand boy and I give these guys rides. They're going to strip joints and bars and they're homemasters and they were being real cheap with tipping me out all night. I didn't like to participate with the stripper. They're gawking over strippers and all that. I didn't like to play that thing. But they would try to be real cheap with me. They'd try to be real cheap with me, and then they might try to fricking be real cute if somehow they found out that where the bread and milk was going. Mm-mm. You think you're your buddies, you're at the track gambling with them, and you think, oh, that's all we're buddies. Yeah, geez, this is a good friend of mine. Dang, he ain't. There's 2 out of 6, 2 out of 6, 2 out of 6. If that. Oh, me, we get along fine. We get along fine. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Those same guys, if they know what you're doing and you're making a move, oh, they don't care. They don't care if you laughed together and ate dinners together and gambled together and all that. They don't care about that. Geez, we get along fine. Well, that's all right. No, they don't care. They don't care. Mm-mm. They'll hijack you in a minute. If they know what you're holding, they'll hijack you in a minute. There's nothing good about that. Anything out of that. There was fun times. There was fun times, but I was on edge a lot. I was on edge. You can't. You. I didn't want to get made, and my godfather told me the same thing. But you can't talk like in the street if somebody talks smack and then you go, oh, whatever, blah blah blah. You can't do that with them if you're not a made guy. You can't utter words. You can't communicate if it's aggressive words like that. You can't. You can't. I don't qualify to talk smack. You don't qualify to talk smack. You know, I was stupid and naive. You go up to the club, they talk smack. Blah, 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 blah. So I just said, I'll fight you. Take your gun off. I'll fight you. I'll box you. Well, you can't do that. You can't do that shit. You can't do that shit. You can't do that. But they try to they try to wear you out. They try to wear you out because the old man loved me. The old man loved me, and I don't know. They were little jealous piss pots. These guys did everything. They didn't save any of the money to like get a house and land and do some things for the future. None of them look to the future like anybody else. You guys would say, wow, I got a big bankroll, let me go get some land and house and set up a college fund for my kids and pay this off. They didn't look to the future. They risked their lives, they risked going to jail, and only a rare few of them would have the backup money for lawyers and their family's future. Yeah, you could hear that easy voice, that raspy voice telling the story now. Oh man, eh, there were fun times, yeah, but mm-mm. I had to go to New York the one time early on. Early on, that's where I saw Mike, and I was like, I can't do this. I was losing weight. I was already thin because back I used to run track in high school. I used to run track. I was already thin, and I got real nervous because when I broke the rules, and my godfather is in New York. I'm in West New York. He can't just because he could protect me, but the guys are crazy, and I got real paranoid and stressed. Paranoid and stressed. Mm-mm. I was programmed. Any little sound in the night, I would wake up. It was not no good, not sleeping, not eating. And Mike was real cool in New York. And I zoomed down there and then like I was on the street going to meet this other car, and my godfather was gonna be coming, but I actually felt faint. I felt faint. They had to pour stuff, and they're saying, wow, I was worn out and stressed out. I'm not a tough guy. I'm not a tough guy. It all was wearing me out. It was wearing me out. I was like, Mike was good about it. He said sit. I had to sit down, and freaking put water on my head, you know, and then the other cars came. My godfather, he's like, what the hell's going on? And he's not, Jojo ain't feeling good. He's fainting over here. I'm a little wimp. I'm a little wimp, you know, but I wasn't eating and I was dehydrated. Yeah. Those were the good old days, huh? There were fun times, but boy, I had ulcers. Mm-mm. Angelo, yeah, Angelo. He was one that did set up his people. He set up his people um financially. Some people did set their families up for generational wealth. They did make sure the children got uh the tuition paid up, you know, when they're of age for college and things. Then they could melt. Then they had lawyers and accountants. They had lawyers and accountants that you can do businesses and have a legitimate business to show revenue. Even a laundromat. Nobody knows how many people are doing whatever, but the government can estimate if those machines were going around the clock how much revenue they would take in. The government ain't stupid either, but you could get pretty close to the maximum number and show legitimate money. But the lawyers and those Jewish accountants, mhm, yeah, and they would know how to get away with the taxes too. They're all well versed in uh not paying taxes. But, Mike Francis don't like paying taxes. he does the tax scheme, and then he's got the church of Mike. So that's a religious enterprise. So that's tax exempt. And he's pretty sharp. He's pretty sharp. He's a chess player. What's that? Angelo said, yeah, like one or two guys wanted to clip Joe. I can't remember why. Well, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that, a lot of stuff that happened at the end. And a lot of the people were playing both sides. They're playing both sides of the fence with the government and the mob, playing both sides of the fence. And they would look the other way as long as they could get leverage. They would, as long as they can get leverage to try to, maybe one family against them, behind the scenes, try to get information. You know how all that shit works. So, yeah, the old man, he retired. He retired. He retired from it. He didn't do life, and he didn't get whacked. See, they accumulate so much money, just like Mike. They accumulate so much money that you're in a family and other families know you're doing rackets and all this and that. Before they shake you down or blast you, you go in good faith and say, like if there's five, the commission or whatever, and you act in good faith. You act in good faith. Don't you think Mike paid off them families? He would have never made it out of New York. You cracking jokes? He'd have never made it out of there. Oh, pay them off. Pay them off. Act in good faith, and that's that. So very crazy. I appreciate everybody that come in here, help me out doing the show. I appreciate that. Ivan, Painted Black, Juju, thank you. Who else we got? Benny Blanco from the Bronx. Thanks for coming in. Happy holidays to you and your family. Tommy Bahama. Yeah, I appreciate that. Francis, my fiance. Just kidding. Ivan Lore, Emmanuel. Thank you, folks. Michael Candinas. I appreciate hanging out with a guy I get to kill sometime. We got the Rockford Files. James Rockford. That name sounds familiar. Is that from the old show? Remember the 70s, the Rockford Files? I'm dating myself, huh? Yeah, I can't get a date. Just kidding. Paul Gassi. I'm literate. Paul Gassi. Mike Mormile. Moali, where you been? Happy holidays to all you good people. My channel is running again. So, Deb, thank you, honey. Nikki, I love you. I love you, Deb. And all you good people. Painted Black. T. Hinton's in the house. Biggie Smalls in the house. All these good people hang out. Joel Gold, hey. Yeah. What a name, Tommy Bahama, huh? Man, that sounds like beachwear or something. Juju, EB23, where you been? Well, there you have it, folks. I wish everybody have happy holidays. Don't get too depressed. We might be missing somebody at the table. Don't get too depressed. We'll all meet again. We'll all meet again. So if you're drinking, don't rock too hard. A lot of times, if you're depressed, it's going to be amplified during the holidays because my best friends and my mom, everybody's, they're not here anymore. They're not here. So, Christmas and holidays might look different than yesteryear. So stay strong. Okay. You'll see them again. Okay. You'll see them again. Stay strong. Stay strong. And enjoy the holidays and be happy for what you have. Don't be pissed off for what you don't have because we're all breathing. We're all alive. We're all alive. So we're fine. There's a chance. There's always a chance that you can be more comfortable. So just focus on that. Okay. Focus on that. Just to wake up, that's a score for me. You know, I chain smoke and let me wake up. I'm good. I'm good. That's it. So there you have it, folks. There's a link in the description to the book. There's a Cash App if you want to throw a coffee down my throat, or just hit the like button or the share button or subscribe button or anything, or notification bell. I'll take whatever I could get at this point. They had me froze out. So let's start running these subscribers up now. I mean, hey, I like doing it anyways. It's a hobby. So we'll keep it going. We'll keep it going. Uh, I got a whole library of videos and I'm going to refresh them and look at them just so maybe I might remember some other things or something, or I might make some stuff up too on those other videos, just to fill in the blanks. Because it's hard to remember stuff. Honestly, it's hard to remember exact things like that, but I can just assume about some things or that or whatever, you understand. That's so there you have it. Joe Ruffino. Joe Ruffino. I see you there. Sorry, I didn't forget you, my brother. Happy holidays to you, sir. The great Ruffino. Painted Black Black, thank you for that. Thank you for helping me out, man. Thank you, Painted Black Black. I appreciate it. Everybody that comes in. So there you have it. What do we only got 3 or 4 days before Christmas Eve? Yeah. So that's that. We'll keep it under 2 hours. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I'm gonna watch the rest of the football game, and that's that. Good night. God bless y'all. If I don't hear from you in the chat, happy holidays. All right, and stay great. Thanks a lot, folks. God bless.